even if you survive razor thin, if you just stay in the game at all, you will be caught up in the windfall of upward mobility, and you will end up in a much better position than you are in now. And if you're young, that's going to happen before you're 30.
Welcome to Work Hard. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Jason.
Now this is podcasting.
Hey, welcome to Work Hard. The proper introduction will come in a second. This is a quick disclaimer we're putting at the front of the episode, guys. We are not financial advisors, doctors, pastors. We are not
lawyers.
We're not lawyers. We're not
or economists.
or economists. I don't know why you listen to economists, but they keep mucking it up. Anyways, guys, we are backed by no official body yet, but everything we say here is what I would describe as well-informed and educated opinion, but that's what it is. It is an opinion. Some of it's obviously, we'll say things like Christ is king. That's a fact. That's not up for debate. But so that's the disclaimer. Second part of this is that this is a narrow audience here. We're aiming at young men. If you are easily rustled, probably not best to listen to this. Another thing I think I like to add to the disclaimer is that this is also not aimed at kids. If you're not an adult, I would advise parents to listen to each episode individually before you let your boys listen to any of this. And I would also advise you really probably not let them listen to most of it. It's not super relevant to them. And we do
you might present topics you could discuss with them in your own way.
Yeah. That's up to you. You're the parents. That's your prerogative. But just, caution.
It may have some good usefulness to you in talking to your teenage son. Yeah.
So guys, that's your disclaimer. That's what you get.
If you continue listening,
there is a gun to my head. That is how they get me to make these. It's somebody standing off camera right now with a large high-powered rifle aimed directly at my head. That's the only way to get me to do these disclaimers is physical, violent coercion. We'll see you in the episode. Bye. And we are together again, ladies and gentlemen. It is that time of the week. Now, I don't know what time that week is. I know we record on Wednesdays, but Jason does the uploading, so I don't actually know when these go live.
Thursday, Friday-ish.
Happy weekend, baby. And you know what?
Rumble's usually late.
It is the weekend now. That's right. For you guys, it'll be the weekend, and the weekend is glorious. And this weekend in particular, because ARC Raiders is having a server test, which is a kind of a pre-release event. So me and my friends will be gaming. So that's going to be fun because I need a video game. I haven't had a good video game to play since...
Is that a first-person shooter?
No, it's a third-person shooter.
Okay.
But it's like a survival extraction shooter.
Okay.
So it's like you
this
go
is
in...
different than Ark Survival, which is the dinosaur one.
Correct.
Different. Which was very cool looking, but my computer couldn't run it well enough, and so I never found out if it was any good.
In its heyday, it was awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was awesome. Big weekend for me. Hope it's a big weekend for y'all. We've got some community stuff to go to. We got a church event. It's popping off this weekend. There is no rest for the weary. I'll tell you that. fun stuff, exciting stuff. I had something that I wanted to say up front, but I forgot what it was. Great podcasting, big episode. Oh, this is what I was going to talk about, dude. I've been watching on Instagram videos of people in London walking around pretending to cast spells on Africans.
Oh no.
And it's
what?
really, really funny.
Spells.
Yeah, because Africans, native Africans are highly superstitious people.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
African
You're not talking
immigrants-
about somebody who's been in the country a long time.
No. I'm talking
recent.
Yeah. Or like, maybe we've been there for 10 years, but still grew up in Africa.
Culturally
in
African.
his heart, there's still that like fear of witchcraft. And so he'll
okay, so this is not like Harry Potter spells.
No. This just like it's like a kid.
Are they trying to imitate like African magic? Is that what they're doing?
Walk up, so it'll be some kid. So here, one of the things is in England, things are really, really bad right now. People are going to jail for tweets and stuff like that.
Okay.
And the thing about authority, about authoritarian governments, and about just like control in general, is that the tighter you clasp the thing that's in your hands, the more it's going to run out in between your fingers.
Yeah.
And so as the government tries to grab tighter and tighter onto people's ability to communicate, it just causes more of it to slip through their control.
Right. CV for Vendetta.
Yeah. And you have I think they call themselves Blade Runners now, or whatever, but it's people who in England are running around all the time, cutting down all the cameras and radio, and they have all these like really intricate ways of doing it so they don't get caught.
For your safety.
Yeah.
Save the cameras.
Yeah. And they post these like Instagram videos of like, hey, listen, they'll like walk up to the thing and they'll be like, look, somebody cut this camera down. How could they do that? Oh my gosh. Why would someone grab a size 7 angle grinder and use a battery pack you can buy from Home Depot for $3 and clip to your belt and then cut it down quickly at 2 p.m. exactly when the cameras are not facing this one direction, and then cut this one camera down so you could cut out all like lay out exactly what they did and be like, why would someone do that? No. So you have stuff like that going on.
And then they disappear.
Yeah, they disappear. But then the other
shout out to Great Britain and our listeners there in the UK.
Yeah, shouts out. We would be in jail.
We see all 3% of you.
Yeah, we do.
Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Dad.
Yeah, that would mean, given our numbers, that would mean that there's 5 guys from England listening to us.
Yeah.
Shouts out to you guys.
That's cool. Say hey in the comments.
Yeah, also get braces. But anyway, so there's these kids, these like English kids who have figured out that because the immigrants there are a protected class. They're like,
they're holy.
Any tyrant, you bring in foreigners to usurp the local population because the local population won't listen to you. And you can take from the local population to pay the foreigners.
They seem to think that they have some sort of rights from having, their ancestry there.
Right. Yeah. It's strange that there's blood and time put into the land that they're standing on, that they paid for.
What the heck, Britons?
Yeah. Golly, guys, come on.
Just give it up already.
Yeah, dude. Just give up all your wealth and your genetic inheritance. And so you can't speak disparagingly about immigrants or you'll get arrested, like literally. There's a woman who just went to jail for very lightly expressing dissatisfaction with the rape gangs in England. I think I don't know if this is true. Look this up because this is pretty evil. So if this is not true, you need to confirm this. I'm pretty sure it was her daughter or her daughter's friend or something that got raped. And she went on Facebook and was like, this is terrible. This needs to end. And they arrested her. And I think they gave her a longer sentence than they gave the gentleman doing the raping.
Of course.
So
that follows.
So they're squeezing very tight over there, right? They're squeezing very tight, and people are figuring out ways to harass.
Your government has really figured out justice over there.
Yeah,
British listeners.
Yeah, they've. Yeah, that was the. I don't remember if you guys remember the.
Ours is working on it.
it was a heyday, or a big news cycle topic was this kid who got sick, this baby who got sick in London, or in England rather. And
was this where the government refused to transfer him?
and the Vatican said that they would come get him and try this experimental. So it was like there were experimental treatments they could do on him
that the parents wanted.
Yeah, the parents wanted that probably wouldn't work, but it was a shot he'd live.
Right.
And the government said that he has a right to die with dignity.
Mm-hmm.
And the Vatican intervened and said they would come get him. That we'll send a plane, we'll send an ambulance, we'll pay for it all, we'll come get him, we'll give him whatever. They denied that, and the judge was, it was either in a leaked interview, it was a sound recording, an audio recording of him saying, I'm denying the motion to release the child to the Vatican's property because the parents need to have a better attitude. Now, listen, I would never, ever advocate
Ethan
for hitting someone in the head with a brick. Okay. Now I would never do that. I would never say, you can probably find baseball bats in England. I would never say, I know they don't play baseball there, but they do play cricket.
Yeah.
I would never say something like that. I would never, ever say something like that. So anyways,
what am I supposed to do with this, Ethan?
I'm not saying you should do it. I'm just saying that you shouldn't. I'm saying that you shouldn't do that. Here's what I actually will say, though. The stance I will take is that
we're back, everybody.
No. That stays in. That's a good joke. That stays in. What I will say, though, is that you are, I for real, earnestly, seriously, in my anger, I want the dad. My human sinful nature is to just look the dad in the eyes and go, dude, go to jail. Do what you have to do. Kill him and go to jail. Like, your son's dead. Justice must be served. Beat him to death and just go to jail. You shouldn't do that. Okay. No one should do that.
Because that is vigilantism.
Vengeance is the Lord's. That judge will, whether he's regenerate or not, that judge will pay the price for what he's done, either in this life or the next, but somewhere along the line.
Yeah, definitely in the next, maybe in this life.
Yeah, he will get what's coming to him.
No, I very much, I think any red-blooded male understands that desire to kill that judge if that was your son.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but what
I
will say is
we are not the arbiters of justice.
No, but to that judge,
but it is important to acknowledge that and not just sit here and go, well, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
to that judge,
I'm with you that far.
Yeah. To that judge, and to all judges like him and all people in authority like him, all these band dork theater kids who have power for the first time in their lives and are looking to make people have a good attitude and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily concerned for your safety because you're a piece of shit, and I'm not going to do anything against you because I've been commanded not to by the Lord. But I'm, if you get hit in the head with a motorcycle helmet, I'm not going to, spend 45 minutes of my time trying to figure out how to stop that from happening. But here is my warning. I am concerned for the fabric of society. I don't want violence in the street. I don't want politicians getting beaten up. I don't want the implications of that and the safety for me and my family. That's what I'm concerned with. And so, as a warning to you guys, people are very angry, and you are going like
people already have. Luigi did it.
Yeah, Luigi did it. You are on the clock now. The guy that shot up the BlackRock, Blackstone.
Yeah, if you're in one of these positions, you need to stop behaving in an evil way.
It's already happening. People are coming to these offices, shooting them up. You got to correct yourself, man. And
these people ought not to be doing that, but you are. This is the same thing as a child hitting another child because the first child, is antagonizing them. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
Yeah.
and then they finally get hit, and they go, ah!
Yeah. Well, guess
Why?
when Dad shows up,
Is
guess
the
who's
second child right to hit him? No. Both children get disciplined. You both did something wrong.
Yeah. When Dad shows up, guess who's getting the spanking?
Everybody.
Yeah. And so you got to come correct, man. You guys got to tighten up, because people are getting angry, and we've talked about white anger on this show before. It's a bit different than the disorganized masses of foreign hordes, and you are playing with fire. You are playing with a power you don't understand, and you are getting to the time where the Saxon learns to hate, and you will not enjoy that. I hope that it doesn't come to that direction, and that's kind of a FAFO whatever point, but it's a you guys have burned up almost all public goodwill, and you have now actually literally entered into the place where people are shooting you in the head in the street. And so I would take a moment to reflect. That's at least what I would say. Probably just take a moment to reflect.
Yeah, maybe make a new TikTok account and only start clicking on conservative things, so that your algorithm doesn't just feed you what you want to hear, and see how angry people are with you.
Yeah.
And that might sober you up a little bit.
Yeah. So all that to say, there's these kids that have wisened up, and they're figuring out how to harass foreigners without breaking the law.
Okay.
And
it's by casting
and
spells.
one of the ways is to pretend to cast spells on old African guys. And it's very funny, because there'd be an African guy just walking down whatever, he's got a cup, and he's just whatever, and some guy will walk up, some kid will walk up and be, "Hey, uncle," and he'll go, "Oh yes, what?" And he'll go, "What's your name?" And he'll be like, "What's your name, mate?" And he'll be like, "Oh, my name is Umbundu," and the guy, and he'll be like, "Oh, great, you're the one I'm looking for." And he'll be like, "What do you mean?" And he'll be like, and he'll just like get a cup, and he'll have like burning sage or something, or he'll have like a stick, and he'll just start going, and just like saying nothing, and like casting the stick at him, dude. And the black guys will freak out, bro. And it is funny, because nothing's happening to them, and they are just being superstitious. They're not being harmed. And so it's funny. And it is one of the things that is endearing about some of the African guys is that they're believers. And so they'll go, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ." And they'll like,
you picked on the wrong one.
Yeah, they'll like run away.
No, keep him.
Yeah.
Keep him.
They'll run away. They always run away.
We need him here.
Yeah.
We need more of that. Yeah. I rebuke you.
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. And so they'll like run after them and just keep casting the spell at them.
Take notes, Britons.
Yeah. "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ." And they just keep saying that over and over again. Now, some of them are Muslim, and they just, say some Muslim thing or whatever the Muslim equivalent of that is. Okay. Some of them are they just spaz, and they like start throwing like bike locks and stuff at the people trying to cast spells on them. But it's really, it's poetic. It's like a beautiful, beautiful thing to do that. Because it's, you have this sort of grating jagged edges of society becoming more and more evident, and this diversity issue, causing more and more tension. And
you know what they need is more coexist bumper stickers over there. That would solve it.
Right. Yes. More. Yeah. We need to lean into diversity being our strength. And
it's doing so well.
It is doing so well.
Keep it coming.
Yeah. It's very beautiful. It's a very funny thing. It's super poetic. And I just love watching "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ." Like, how seriously, like, cause they're for the most part, they're very chill. Like, they're just like, "Oh yeah, what's going on?" Like, they're like, "Hey uncle." And he turns around, he's like, "Yeah, what's up?" Which is very funny, because you could just say "Hey uncle" to an African guy and he'll respond to it. Like, really? An older African guy. Like, if you go up to like somebody our parents' age who's African.
Yeah.
I didn't know this, but apparently just watching these videos, you can just go, "Hey uncle," and they'll go, "Yes." So okay. It's just very funny.
Kind of like saying, "Hey sir."
Yeah, something. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
That's the equivalent.
Yeah.
I'm learning so many things.
Me too. And so there's that moment of that happening, and then you can just flip a switch in their head by just pretending to like wave.
And they're
their
like,
hand
I'm
around.
in spiritual danger now.
Yes, yeah. It's very funny. So, but that, and I think that's the
remember your training.
yeah. That's the best version of the racial tension. Like that's the good one, right? It's funny. That guy for a second has to panic or whatever, but he'll be fine. And he'll probably also realize that it's just a silly thing once he's chilled out. But the flip side, which is that's kind of the racial tension that I'm fighting for, is to have these silly little jokes. We're pulling pranks on people, that kind of thing. But the racial tension that is coming after that, if that doesn't resolve things, is really bad.
It'd be much worse.
Yeah. So that's just, I think if you come across those on Instagram, you need to encourage those young men to continue casting spells on African guys. Because the African guys, listen, nice or not, they do need to go home. And so you have to figure out some way to motivate them to do so. And if making it so every time they come outside, they think they're getting spells cast on them, go home. Anyways.
And that is in the interest because they were brought there. So just the background to you saying they need to go home is because they were brought there by the government specifically.
Yeah, they're being used
supplant.
Unwittingly, unintentionally. They're not evil. They're just trying.
They're pawns.
They're pawns, and they don't realize that they're being used. That's why I think it's fine to joke with them, to prank them, to maybe rile them up emotionally. To an extent, that's okay. But to like, I have concern with people who their primary contempt or their righteous anger is focused not on the people who are doing this, but on like Indians or whatever. Like it's fine to joke about them. It's a good way to bring attention to the issue. It's a good way to keep things light and airy as we're talking about this very serious topic that can boil over very quickly to violence. And so it's fine, I think, to joke about this stuff. But at the end of the day, harboring in your heart like sincere resentment, animosity towards the immigrants themselves it's not only like in a Machiavellian sense, it's just not helpful. They didn't build a plane to come here and then let themselves in at the border. Like they are being encouraged to come here and let in by tyrannical political actors. Those are the people that are doing this. Those are the people you need to have resentment towards. Those are the people you need to obviously not be violent against, but run against politically. You need to get power out of their hands and put them in your hands or the hands of someone else that's trustworthy. And so
who actually has the interest of the native people,
right? The native, yeah. And it's also because it's not. We've talked about this kind of ad nauseum, but it's also in the long run, it's bad for Africans if they come here and let's just use England for example. If they go to the UK and turn the UK into Africa, then the UK's capacity to turn around and help them is eliminated, severely diminished or completely eliminated.
We talked about that same concept a few episodes ago in relation to America and allowing too many Indians or Hispanics in at too great a rate, to where they can't be absorbed into the communities that they live in.
Yeah.
Or if they don't have the mindset that they even want to.
Right.
Which is an entirely different issue.
Yeah.
You might bring over 1 million who really want to be Americans, but it's going to be it's going to displace so many people so rapidly. It's not going to happen well.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's just that I've been thinking about that a lot just because we've been watching The Lion King over and over and over again.
Yeah.
By over and over and over again, I mean like once every 2 weeks because my daughter's not allowed to watch movies mostly, but or look at screens. But that's exactly what Scar does. He doesn't
just immediately bring in an entire populace
he doesn't have the
support
of the kingdom. He doesn't have the support of the kingdom, so he brings in the hyenas, the foreigners, to be the boots on the ground enforcers of his law.
Yeah.
And then he immediately runs everything into the ground, and then there's no food for the
for anybody.
For anybody, yeah. And so now that is a little bit of a different example because the hyenas are innately evil in that example.
Sure, yeah, and we're not saying that about Africans or Indians or any of the immigrants. Any Hispanics.
Yeah, they're just doing what anyone would do, which is taking any opportunity they can get to make more money.
Yep.
So, anyways, all that to say, it's just funny. Those clips are funny. It is funny watching African guys trip out about getting fake spells casted on them.
And to your point, at least in this being an overall good thing, is that it's a way to highlight the cultural collision, I guess. The non-cohesiveness of two cultures that are being told to live in harmony.
Yeah.
And
can't.
When you can fake out the other, when one of them knows it's a joke and the other one can fake them out based on age-old superstitions.
Yeah.
You're not the same culture at all.
Right, at all. Yeah.
Because you could not do that to a Brit.
No. Yeah, he'd be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah, get out of my face, youth."
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So there are things that the Africans could do in return. Well, maybe not, because Africans take soccer pretty seriously too. But, I think it does that. It highlights the issue in a light, fun way, but it also it does help to blow off steam.
Okay, that was my second point. It blows off the steam that would otherwise build in quiet resentment until violence came to the front.
Yeah, until you are getting cricket bats or whatever they're called.
Right.
Paddles to the head.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just, Anyways, all that to say, that ended up being way longer than I wanted it to be, but that's like old school work hard. I guess it does kind of tie into what we wanted.
Yeah, I was going to say it does tie into the quote unquote main topic, which is the second half of the podcast topic.
So we're gonna today. I think I don't think we're beating a dead horse right now. We're going to talk about kind of market forces and regulatory environments and how much does the government have it really kind of how much weight, how much responsibility does the government bear in our current situation, both in immigration, in the state of the economy, and all this stuff. I think we're probably going to get a little bit more libertarian than we usually do today, I would imagine, just given the conversation we were having prior to
and
this.
Also a good bit speculative, because we don't have all of the data. This is going to be kind of an open topic that we're just discussing and highlighting some obvious issues and talking about some of the potential causes.
Yeah. And so I think one of the things to note, little caveat before we jump into this, is that, and I'll dive into this maybe in more detail, but we don't necessarily have, this one's going to be a little bit different today, because we're not going to be like talking about what we think should happen or what is kind of the situation. I think this is going to be more of us wrestling with each other and putting these ideas out there so other people can wrestle with them. Give us feedback. We can kind of start talking about this, as opposed to...
Yeah, this is a good one for putting your comment down below.
Yeah, because this...
Saying, I've been thinking about this too, or I didn't even think about that, or here's some insight that you guys don't have. Yes. Whatever is welcome.
Yeah, this one's more of a conversation today than a...
we want to hear from you.
Yeah, so because there's a lot of facets here that I think... One of the reasons why I think it's important to talk about this stuff is because the right does not seem to my estimation, my observation, does not seem to actually have a coherent, fundamentally good argument against cheap labor in a functional way. That I understand that the right's argument is that, well, America is for Americans, and so American jobs should go to Americans. But the counter argument, which is, that's a great sentiment, but if you're having to pay a berry picker 3 times as much as you did before, that's going to have a clear
effect on down the road to you buying berries at the grocery store.
Yeah, and there's
this came about from a clip that I saw on TPUSA where Rob Schneider was saying, he's saying to the crowd, he goes, "You guys can boo all you want, but he goes, illegal aliens farm for us. They pick our fruits and vegetables." And he goes, "Now I want fresh fruits and vegetables, and if we still want fresh fruits and vegetables," he goes, "Americans aren't going to do these jobs. And you can boo all you want, but we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
We need to figure it out." So I appreciate him just being blunt about that, and I only partially agree with his statement that Americans won't do these jobs.
Yeah.
I think it's that Americans can't do those jobs at the rate that the illegal aliens are willing to do them for.
Yeah. Yeah, and that right there, I think, in lies the problem. I have not heard anybody, including myself, give a sufficient answer for that issue. Because wanting to do this like, Nat sock, populist, nationalism, fascist, we're just going to wave our hand and do price controls. We're just going to wave our hand and say, you can't do this. We're going to wave our hand and say, there's, limits on pay, bottoms on pay or whatever. Like you're standing in front of a dam that has all these leaks in it, and you're putting your finger in the leaks. And then as you put the water pressure pushes another leak out, you're going to run out of fingers quickly. And that's market forces. And I think that my position on this stuff will always be that market forces can be manipulated to some extent in the short term, but there will always be an equal and opposite reaction. And there will always be this is nature taking its course. You just cannot pull energy from something or push energy into something without having that energy get sucked in or pushed back out somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so
for example, if the government, and I'm not saying that they are doing this exactly, but this is just an example to illustrate this. If the government says potatoes are only going to be, we don't want them to be over 50 cents a pound in the grocery store.
Yeah.
You back up the production line, transportation and growing and field workers, you add up all the costs, and the farmers still have to make a profit.
Right.
If the farmers cannot make a profit, they have to have, either they shut down and we don't have any potatoes growing, or they have to cut costs somewhere, or the government has to then subsidize them. So the government's printing money, paying it to the farmers and saying, you can't sell them for more than this many per bushel because that equates to 55 cents per pound in the grocery store. Or you just have to find it where the government says, we're not going to give you a subsidy, or we're only going to give you a partial one. You have to make up the difference on your own in operational costs somewhere. And one place that can come out is in labor.
Yeah.
Right? So, and this also could, so if it comes out in labor, you are going to be highly motivated or forced to use cash paying under the table workers.
Yeah.
And a large portion of those are going to be illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
Who are, undocumented and will work for anything that they can kind of feed themselves and send some money back for.
Yeah.
Living in crowded housing or whatever they have to do to make that work. So what you were, in essence, it seems to me that America has become addicted to and dependent on food being such a low price and a low percentage of your budget that we are dependent on what is borderline slave labor. Similar to how we are dependent on, for our like electronics and plastics and everything, borderline slave labor in the form of Indian or Chinese workers overseas producing all of this stuff and then shipping it across the sea. That's somehow cheaper because of the lack of regulations and who knows how many other factors that apply to the U.S. So lower, higher wages here and more regulations on how you deal with the environmental outputs of factories. We don't want our rivers polluted. I'm all for that. We don't want our skies polluted. I'm all for that. Yeah. But it makes it more expensive to operate a factory here. And so if you are okay with just importing it to where it doesn't hurt our direct environment, they can do whatever they want over there in that country, ruin their own skies and their own water, as long as they're willing to do that or their government is willing to do that, then we get cheaper products. So we get to have more at the cost of other nations. So to me, this is it's a fundamentally anti-liberal thing, for one thing, because if, just slavery in general, or oppressing, or taking advantage of poorer people, even if they're in a different country, you're still kind of just importing that labor and maximizing your profits, or just maximizing how much stuff you as an individual can buy in the U.S.
Yeah, so I would push back on that, because I think some of that argument is kind of if people would just be willing to pay more for their food, if people would just be willing to pay more for power, if people would just be willing to pay more, then we could import. What I'm saying is that there's.
Well, I'm saying okay. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is that there has to be, that there is somewhere on a third, second, fifth order effect kind of situation, a butterfly effect kind of situation, where the ripples of this butterfly landing on the thing are affecting the other side of the lake.
Right.
Somewhere someone's got their hand on a scale, and we just have not identified where that is actually.
Right.
Because it's not that it doesn't make sense. It's just that it's not possible for a country to exist without it being able to support itself, without being able to feed itself, without being able to do whatever. And it doesn't make sense to me that the way a country can support itself is by killing itself, because importing all these foreigners and exporting all of this labor is killing us. And so it isn't self-sustaining. So it's not self-sustaining to hire Americans I'm putting that in air quotes, everybody. It's not self-sustaining to hire Americans because you have to pay them too much, but it's also not self-sustaining to
depend on almost everything.
Yeah, depend on almost everything to go.
We don't even make our own steel.
Yeah, the Lord created the concept, or allowed the creation of the concept, either did directly or allowed the creation of the concept of nations and households. And there are prescriptive ways in the Bible that we are told to operate households specifically, but you can expand that out to nations. You're supposed to live, just at or below your means. You're supposed to be diligent with your resources and stuff. So somewhere we aren't doing that. And that's translating into us creating this problem where we are having to import foreigners. What I'm saying is that
as a Band-Aid
for this hemorrhaging wound that we're not acknowledging or can't see.
In the long term, it widens the wound.
Yeah. And so there's an issue somewhere where if we pull out the bullet or whatever that we're not aware that is there yet, if we pull that out, then the wound will heal. Because it's what I know.
But there will be a gush of blood in the short term.
Sure, certainly. Yeah.
It's not going to be painless.
Yeah.
To pull the bullet out.
Yeah. And so this is a little
which I think people want it to be. They see that immediate bleeding and they go, that's worse.
Right. Staple it up. Yeah.
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 So, no, it has to be cleaned out.
Yeah.
It has to be cleaned out. You have to go through that.
Yeah. And so I think this maybe is a bias for me, because this is what I know. So this is where I'm gonna look, which is a big thing in the expert space, quote unquote expert space. Is you have experts who are experts in a field. They see a problem, but they're going to look for the problem where they know they're going to look for the solution or the problem where they know to look for it, which is the thing they're an expert
which is in their field,
right?
Which may be very narrow.
It may be very narrow and may not be the problem. And so I'll say, before I say this, I'm going to say, I don't necessarily know that I'm about to head down the right path. It may be something wrong completely. My assumption is that there is an issue with capital. There's an issue with regulation, and there's an issue with capital. I've talked about this multiple times in the show previously, but in older episodes, and this is a bit arcane. So just bear with me if it's taking me a second to kind of navigate through this. I'm sure Jason will help me, but there's this, one of the reasons why the Federal Reserve, having a reserve bank is bad, is because they artificially suppress interest rates. So when you're thinking about money being loaned or used, like let's say a farmer wants to buy the land, the undeveloped land next to him,
okay,
and turn it into fields that he can use for growing or grazing or what have you. Now he's rich in the sense that he's got millions of dollars already in land and infrastructure. He's got an operating farm. It's worth $3 million. But as we all know, farmers are generally cash poor. So he can't just go buy the land next to him to expand his operation.
He doesn't have $1 million in cash to do that.
Right. So he's got to go get that cash somehow, somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to go borrow it. Most likely that's what he's going to do. He's going to go get investors. He's going to go to a bank, whatever. And he's going to go get money to buy that land, to buy the tractors, to build the infrastructure, to hire the hands, to do whatever. Right.
Yeah.
So that's where he's going to get the money to do it. So he's going to go over there to do that. Well, if the interest rate is artificially suppressed, that messes up supply and demand. And money has a supply and demand aspect to it, like everything else, like corn, like steel, like software, everything. It has a supply and demand attached to it.
Furbies,
Pokemon cards. It has a supply and demand mechanism that decides the price of the money, and the price of the money is your interest rate. That's what it is. That is the cost of borrowing money. That's what you're paying to get that money, is the interest rate.
Yeah.
And so if the interest rate is artificially suppressed, then that will allow people to push more money out or go borrow more money at a faster or greater rate than they would otherwise be able to.
Right.
And so you have, like, kind of shifting the metaphor here, you have software companies. This is a big thing in the tech world. You have these software companies that have ideas and concepts, and no one knows if the product will work, if it's even good. No one knows if the Laotian kid who's saying he's going to do it all even can code. Like, it's just, there's all these scammers, this vaporware, all of these issues that come around with this environment. And yet it is so easy for founders of tech companies to go get funding, to go get investors, go get loans, go get money to start these companies that are, and then pay themselves, whatever
exorbitant
amounts
of money.
Yeah, stupid amounts of money, little amounts of whatever. But they may be earnestly, they may not even be scammers. They may be earnestly engaged in a bad idea.
Right.
But it's still a bad idea, and it's not going to work. And if the money costs more to go get that capital, they won't be able to do it.
Right.
And so you have this, like, really, really profound, ubiquitous, pervasive effect on the entire economy when you're artificially suppressing rates, in that no one knows how valuable anything really is. Because the fundamental way we decide how valuable stuff is, the method in which we do price discovery, is fundamentally corrupted.
Because of the Federal Reserve
artificially manipulating rates. And I'll even abandon the idea that that it's artificially suppressing. I'll just go with manipulating. I don't even need to die on the hill of that they're artificially suppressing it. They could be artificially raising rates.
Right. Okay. Which would make things appear more valuable than they are.
It would make things, if they were artificially raising rates, then it would make things appear less valuable than they actually are.
I thought it'd mean that they couldn't loan out as much money. And
right. If they can't loan out, if money is easier to get, people are more willing to engage in risk.
Yeah.
Because they can just go get the it's cheaper or whatever.
No, but I'm saying that the house that you're going to buy at a higher interest rate is therefore more valuable, quote unquote, in perception because it's a higher cost of mortgage every month for you. That's what I meant by it.
Okay.
Am I thinking about this all wrong?
Well, I don't know. And I think that's kind of I think we can get ourselves bogged down there in the specifics.
Okay.
So I'm not even going to break that down in my own head. Because I don't think that what we can stick with is that the cost of capital is being manipulated. That's what we can stick with.
Sure.
And so it makes it impossible to tell where that money should actually go. So, you may, this just creates this environment where you have no idea what labor is actually worth. You have no idea what a pineapple is actually worth. You have no idea what the company that produces the pineapples is actually worth. You have no idea what anything is actually worth. And so it's all speculative. And
because that company could have borrowed immense amounts of money in order to deliver a pineapple to you for half of what it actually costs to produce it, thinking that they are going to, in the end, drive out other producers and therefore corner the market and raise the price, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, precisely. That's exactly what Uber did. Uber ran at a deficit. They didn't make a dime.
Yeah, they made negative dimes.
Yeah, they may still make negative dimes. I don't actually know. I haven't checked in a while.
But they're only able to do that because they have immense amounts of capital that they
can
borrowed.
Just keep borrowing and keep going and saying our users are going up.
Right. They're showing growth, and therefore they're able to continue getting more money.
Right.
Until the bank calls their bluff or whatever.
Yeah. Until it becomes very clear to everyone that Uber's not going to be able to outgrow their debt, and then
the banks are forced to call on certain loans and say you got to pay this now.
Right. Or we're going to go bankrupt.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have Uber crash and whatever else.
Right. Yeah, so it's very this capitalism,
which destroyed the actual taxi cab business.
Right.
Destroyed it, which was operating apparently at a normal, like just making money level.
Yeah.
Wages that were appropriate. I don't know the details, but I would assume it had been going on long enough that it was fairly stable.
Yeah.
And then Uber came out and go, we'll do it for 75% of what they're doing it.
Right. In an unsustainable way.
With this very convenient app.
Yeah.
It's brought the 21st century in full.
Yeah. Yeah.
And drove out the stable business for an unstable model.
Right.
Potentially.
Yeah.
If they don't level out and just start operating within their means.
Right.
And I don't know if they've done that or not.
I think we can stick with the Uber example because Uber is a great example of foreign labor. Like you've got all these foreigners driving Uber all the time. I don't remember the last time I got in an Uber and it was a white guy driving it. Actually, I do remember it was years ago and I was in college. It was the last time I got in an Uber and there was a white guy driving. And it's because Uber can't afford to pay the rates that you'd have to pay an American to get in the car and drive.
Yeah.
And so it just, now I understand the stereotype of having foreign. Well, I guess it's not really a stereotype because, like, if you look at all the movies of taxi cab drivers, they're always like Italian guys. Like, hey man, what are you doing? They're always like.
I thought there was always Arabic.
Yeah,
isn't that a New York stereotype?
I think that's part of it. Yes,
Arabic and Indian taxi cab drivers.
Yeah, to some extent. And so it just
whether or not that's true.
Yeah, this is and that's why this is like why we're gonna stumble through this conversation today is because there's so many elements to it and no one has any real sense of what's going on. That it is like, is this idea that we have about, or that I have about capital being misallocated because the rates are manipulated? Is that really what's going on? It may be one part of what's going on. Do I think it's the whole story? No. But I think the other half of the story is that government regulation has gotten so, I saw a picture last year somebody posted of the new regulations. So the regulatory environment in the US, like in the 1800s or whatever. And it was like, this was all of the laws from the federal government in the US. And it was a book that was pretty thick, but it was like a book.
Okay.
Like, here are all the laws in the US. And then they posted another picture that was, here are all the laws in the US that were introduced this year. And it was a bookshelf.
Oh, wow.
A little bookshelf, like up to your waist.
Yeah.
2 rows of thick books, like
wow,
bookshelf.
What year was that introduced? Or do you remember?
The
bookshelf.
The bookshelf. I think it was last year that I saw that post.
Oh, okay.
So it may have been 2 years ago or whatever, but it's just the thrust of that post, the spirit of that the guy is saying is the regulatory environment is so thick right now, and things are so manipulated, and so the government has their thumb on so many scales that it's impossible to tell what anything is actually worth anymore. And so I think that you just have this environment where capitalism has been completely destroyed across the planet. It's been less so destroyed here, but obviously is still very significantly compromised, because you have once you introduce a reserve bank, the idea that you're in a free market environment is gone. You're not the fundamental energy used to move anything around in a free market is now being manipulated. It's now centrally controlled, which is the cost of capital. And so we don't exist in a capitalist system. Like when you have people say, well, late stage capitalism is that healthcare, whatever, middle class is gone, whatever, blah, blah. We're not in late stage capitalism. We are in a socialist system. That is what we are in right now. And so I think my kind of beef with the whole argument is, you have like Andrew Isker is a pastor, one of these guys who I see a lot, who I like a lot. I agree with a lot of what he has to say, but he's one of these like, it's funny, even there's all these like fantastic political pundits that you get who have great things to say about immigration and the culture war and all this stuff. Doug Wilson is a great example of this. Doug Wilson, awesome guy, listen to him all the time, agree with a lot of what he says, disagree with some of it, but then he'll every once in a while he'll steer into the world of finance and economics and start talking about it. And I'm just like, dude, oh my gosh, like you just stick to the culture war, stick to the pulpit. Like he'll have people on that start talking and like start saying, well, inflation is actually caused by blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh, okay, dude. And so there's this really big blind spot for the like Pat Buchanan-esque culture warriors. Although I think I'm just now rereading Suicide of a Superpower and kind of reevaluating some of it. And so I think Pat Buchanan has a lot of understandings about culture and society. I'm not 100% convinced that he understands market forces well enough to like really speak to them in a way that's helpful. But you do, we have put ourselves in this position of playing God, and we are dabbling in systems and processes that are far too complex for any group of people, anyone, to manage or understand comprehensively. And one of the symptoms of this mismanagement that is coming from our lack of understanding, one of these symptoms is the labor market, where you have, you've gotten ourselves again into the situation that is unsustainable. We cannot feed ourselves without the help of foreign labor. We cannot produce combat, technology that's critical for our combat capacity without the help of foreign factories. We cannot do these things without the help of these organizations, and without the help of these foreign individuals and foreign organizations. And that is obviously not how God intends a family to run its house. You cannot exist. You cannot exist without the help of, not even the help. You're just completely reliant. You have a feeding tube, and that's the way that you're sustained, is through this feeding tube from another household.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not the way that God has designed the family to work. Now, obviously, we've talked about collaboration on this podcast plenty, and how human collaboration is how God set the system up. But that doesn't mean that you collaborate infinitely in every direction to the point that you're not even collaborating anymore.
Right. No, you're so many points removed. You have no idea how many hands have handled the peaches that you are eating.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
you don't even know what country they came from.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the most part, I mean, my daughter really loves listening to the audiobook for, the Cabin in the Big Woods, or House in the Big Woods, whatever it's called, but it's the precursor to Little House on the Prairie.
It's the first Little House book. Yeah, Little House in the Big Woods.
Yeah, so there's like several books, whatever. Somebody compiled them into a bunch of things, and they're audiobooks. She listens to all the different stories, and while you're listening to it, now I don't have any romance, or I don't wish to return to this time, but our listeners know that, but how self-reliant these people were, right? The dad makes the bullets he uses to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
They make everything that they eat. They're very rare trips to town to pick up lead or to do whatever.
Yeah. The few things they can't get, the raw materials.
Right.
The bottom things.
Yeah. And so I think while you can't, the moment you want a metal tool, you have to enter into a social collaboration that's at least the size of a village. But probably the size of at least a small nation, because you got to get the metal from somewhere.
Yeah.
But
which is huge mining operations, refinement, transportation.
Right.
And then crafting.
Right. Extremely complex logistical operations that no one can consciously.
With huge machinery and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even before there was electricity.
Right. Even
power.
Before there was just tons of manpower.
Yeah. The amount of engineering and manpower.
And lives that were thrown at those operations.
Yeah. And so the moment you add anything.
There's a lot of women in those operations, from what I understand.
Yeah.
They were the first ones in the mines and the last ones out, I think.
Yeah. They were often the backbone of the workforce.
I don't know why we didn't have them in the workforce earlier.
Prior. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think as you increase levels of complexity, you need increased levels of collaboration amongst people groups. But I think there's obviously a balance to work there. So globalism has failed, is what I'm saying. You don't need, there may be, to some extent, there may be like, Japan can't get a bunch of oil, so they're going to have to import oil.
Right.
But
yeah, limits of natural resources within your country's boundaries are going to necessitate some trade.
Right. But what we've done here is completely abandoned.
Right. We will not mine hardly anything here, and we will definitely not refine it.
Yeah,
what we do mine, we'll refine elsewhere.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously not a universal statement, but
right. And so
there's a lot of stuff that's that way.
Yeah, we have we have leaned way too far into this idea of like global collaboration, and it's
immoral for us to drill,
right?
But we'll let anybody else do it who's willing to do it, for the lowest price.
It's immoral for us to refine the oil here, but we'll take it out, whatever, and that does benefit those countries. I think one of the arguments that's like all these people, you've got these people working for slave wages. It's immoral, whatever. Go talk to those people and tell them that they're not going to be working for those slave wages anymore.
Yeah.
And that the job is gone. See how they feel about this. See how
and
they
I only,
feel about
yes, I said
wages.
that. I mean that in relation to
the morality
us.
We've set for ourselves.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I think that there's this, I guess the thrust of what I want to kind of assert here is that we seem, the right has this really big problem. And the problem that I see is the same problem I saw in COVID when grocery stores started raising prices and you had all this stuff going on where the left was going, these grocery stores are so greedy for raising these prices. And my critique of them then was that they're too retarded to think in second, third, and fourth order effects. That it's because that they interact with the food at the grocery store that they think that the grocery store
is solely in control of the entire process.
Yeah, the prices.
Yeah.
And so I think the right has that exact same problem with the labor market, where they see contractors hiring Mexicans to do framing or whatever to build these houses, and they think it's the contractor's fault. These contractors need to be held accountable and put in jail or whatever, because I see that all the time. You need to be arresting or fining or having some sort of legal ramifications for these contractors,
concrete crews, and for these farmers.
Is, by the way, it's just made up of people also trying to survive.
Yeah, the contractors have to compete.
He's just a guy like us. He's not wringing his hands going, I'm going to make an extra $20 million this year, because it's just a guy trying to feed his family.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been put in this situation where he has a choice between paying more money for the same quality of work. And I mean, I would say, I know that on the internet, it's this idea that these houses are cheaply made in the US. And if we paid more for white guys to come in and build it, the house would be built better or whatever. But dude, I mean, I saw these two Mexican guys frame my master bedroom that they put together. And I had my white father-in-law who grew up with his dad, who's a home builder who can do anything and do it well. My father-in-law is a Mr. Fix-It, can do anything, come in and walk around and be like amazed at the quality of work that was done and how fast it was done. And it was Mexican guys who did it. And so it's not the Mexican guy who's doing the nailing, who's putting it's not his responsibility to make sure the house is done well. There's project managers and owners and like company people who should come in and inspect and say, this is not done well. Redo it. Right.
Yeah.
And they don't. They want the houses put up as fast as possible. And so you can hold, this is something that I've had at the boxing gym that I have worked out at for years. The father, I make fun of him all the time because he's been here for like 13 years or whatever, can barely speak English. And so he'll say something to me in broken English, and I'll look at him and I'll go, 13 years, huh? and his sons will laugh at him and stuff and whatever, and he'll get all cross. But he makes this point. He loves Mexico, right? He's Mexican. He was born in whatever. Yeah. He's very respectful to the U.S., but he knows he's not American. He knows he's Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
And he has said, I have this dream, this delusion that America will invade Mexico and just run it, because Mexicans can't run Mexico. And I love Mexico, and I want Mexico to
exist and be sustaining and not run by the cartels.
Yeah. And he's like, but we can't run it. And he says and his sons have talked to me very openly about, he's like, yeah, white people are planners. This is what you are. You're organized, you're planning, you're good at running stuff. Mexicans are hard workers, but we're just not, we don't do this up here.
The higher level stuff.
Yeah. And so he's like,
not higher as in like more, not higher as in better. I just mean higher level managerial organization.
Yeah. And that's not
big picture stuff is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. And that's not that is not a commentary on human value or whatever.
But we're crap at ditches.
Yeah. And so they say Mexicans will work hard and they'll work really fast and things will be good. But you have to have a white guy come in and draw the plans and and make sure all the logistics are running smoothly and people are there on time. And
coming from a liberal state and a liberal background upbringing, not upbringing as in my parents being liberal, but just like the environment, being in that environment, it's such a weird thing to hear Mexicans saying that.
Yeah.
Like Mexicans from Mexico going, y'all white people are good at organizing.
Yeah. I mean, we had
it's very funny.
One of these kids, one of the kids that I trained with.
I had a white friend who picked blueberries as a teenager for one of his jobs or whatever, and he was saying how many more buckets the Mexicans picked, smoked him.
Yeah,
he's like, I was working as fast as I could.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Yeah, dude, you're not going to outpace
it
him.
It makes me think, because like, especially when you box against Mexicans, it makes me think that they must, like, everyone else around, that like time must
just
move slower. Like
they're just
they're just so much faster,
dude. On the soccer field too, it's ridiculous.
They're just faster. They're just physically faster.
I cannot move my long legs as fast as those little legs can carry them.
Yeah, man, it's just crazy.
It's like blinding.
Yeah. They have the
only thing I could do was stick my long ass leg out and like block them.
Yeah, they're just not ready.
They just weren't ready for me to have that much range. Is the only problem.
Yeah.
If I'd played long enough with them, they would have just circumvented me by a wider radius and been fine.
Yeah. So this kid that I trained with, he got a job, and he had to get the COVID vaccine to do the job because it was in an old folks home, and he got the first shot.
Yeah,
and told me that he got the first shot, and this was during like the heyday, like when all this stuff was going on. And I was like, he was young. He was the exact kind of person that was dying. Young man, athlete.
Gotcha. Of the heart.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, dude, you got to be really careful with that, man. Like, you need to really look this up and get, like, before you get the second shot, you need to really understand what you're doing, because myocarditis is a real risk, and we don't understand, but athletes are dying, guys your age are dying of heart attacks, and they're pulling out these big clots, and we don't know how
it's
correlated
affecting people.
Is it the COVID vaccine? Is it what? We don't know.
Something else.
Yeah. And so I said that to him, and he was like, oh, okay, whatever, kind of laughed it off and walked away. But then he was like pacing, not training for like the rest of the time, like pacing, looking on his phone and stuff. And he came back to me, he was like, dude, so what, like, please help me, like, tell me what's going on. And I was like, all right, you got to look up this. And he was okay. He's just, white people know this and we don't. He was like, this is such a white person thing to know. We don't have any idea. He was like, I just don't.
You got to get on white Google.
Yeah. And
apparently
his main thrust was that he was like, it's because you're white and telling me this that I'm now scared. If it was another Mexican that was telling me this, I'd be like, whatever, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But because it's a white guy telling me this, I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh dear. No. Yeah.
There might be something there.
Yeah. And so they all of that to say is that there's the situation is far more complex than that. It's just these farmers wanting to hide, like,
right. Greedy farmers and greedy contractors looking to just
I saw
cut
an interview.
The bottom. Yeah.
I saw an interview with
shave costs wherever they can.
Yeah. This fat, toothless white farmer who had holes in his shirt with his overalls, whatever, like obviously a dude eating beans to live, not a wealthy guy, but he's standing in front of this gigantic farm that he owns, right? Like huge monocrop industrial farm, like worth millions, whatever. And so like on paper, is he rich? Yes. But he has no access to any of that.
Right.
Money.
You would have to sell it to get the money.
Right. Or get a loan against it, which is,
right.
risk. And a guy like that.
Then he has to pay on it.
Right. Then he has to pay on it. And the guy like that is just antithesis to everything he believes. So he's not going to do that. He's not going to go get a loan against his farm.
That is his livelihood.
Yeah. And so he's standing there angry about Trump getting rid of all these agricultural workers, and people are just dragging him online. This guy. It's crazy. These right-wingers who all the time talk about the disattachment of the left from the working class, from real Americans, from like whatever. And as soon as a problem that the working class has, they're standing in front of you on this video going, I don't know what to do. This is putting me in a situation that is unsustainable because I have government on one end forcing me to do all these things that are incredibly costly. I can't repair my equipment. I can't, I have to farm in a specific sustainable way, or a way that's not dealing with subsidies or whatever. I have to I have to do this way, or at least I don't know how to do it any other way. And on the other end, I've got people now, the government coming from the other end telling me I can't employ the only people I can afford to employ. And I don't know what to do. And the response from the right now is to spit on the salt of the earth American.
Yeah.
Because
you're greedy.
You're being greedy. Dude, he's gonna starve.
Yeah.
He's got a family to feed.
He's going to lose his farm.
Yeah. Can we not have a little sympathy? Can we not say maybe this guy isn't the problem? And this ties into what we were talking about with the immigration thing. We don't, why are we getting insanely homicidally angry at the part of the system that we interact with or that we see? That's retarded. That is like 75 IQ, lukewarm intelligence, cannot think. That's how you're engaging with this is in the most retarded way you could.
At least to give yourself some balance, you could read Wendell Berry's The Unsettling of America to see what the government did to the agricultural industry.
Yeah.
And made it the agribusiness industry.
Yeah.
And drove out anyone who wanted to stay small farm and said, you have to get big or get out. And basically they're all backed into these corners now where they have to do things a certain way with razor thin margins.
Yeah.
And possibly depending on subsidies or not being allowed to grow a certain crop, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and so I guess my main thrust is that we don't have any idea why this is happening, really. I've got some theories, but we won't know if they're true. And I think one of the things that's a real big problem is that this issue is so complex and so pervasive and so ubiquitous amongst the entire economy that there's I don't know how to fix it other than to just rip the federal government out from the roots and just toss it in the ocean and start from scratch and just go back
from devastation at that point.
Yeah.
Because there's so much stuff being propped up by the federal government that goodness knows what would happen.
Right. The correction would be awful.
Yeah.
But I don't, and I think
people would
like,
starve.
That is kind of where Trump is, like where he's at right now. I'm not a huge Trump fan, but I mean, I voted for the guy, but my sympathies go out to him because he's trying to correct a ship that is like
has been on the same course for a while.
Yeah, and it's massive.
Yeah.
It's a massive ship that we've built over 200 years. It's bloated and huge, and it doesn't have engines that are designed to power something this big. And he's got to turn it. And I just don't see how that's possible. I don't see how it's possible to rein this thing in.
He's got the whole crew standing on one side to try to
get
tilt the
more
ship
weight.
a little bit. Just like anybody.
Yeah.
Hang off the side, everybody.
Yeah. Grab push all the boxes to one end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And that is kind of what his policies feel like. These like
can we build another bigger rudder?
Yeah. Can we just slap something together?
Yeah.
The rocks are right in front of us.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think the problem is with all things like the body only like the fever is what kills the virus.
Yeah. It's going to be painful.
It's going to be painful. And I don't think people do not fix their car. Even if most people, they hear squeaking in their car engine, they'll just let it run until the car won't run anymore. And
guilty.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. My wife's car is making a weird sound right now. And it's
going to do that for a while.
Yeah. And my actual for real solution to the fact that her tires are low, she's got cracks in her windshield, it's burning oil for no reason, and now it's making a weird noise. My solution is I'm just getting a new car. I'm not paying to have this thing. And so and I know specifically a couple of our friends who will cringe at that when they read it. I know who you are. You're not going to listen to it. You're going to read that.
Well, you heard me yesterday say with the truck, I was like, hey, you don't even, with the Toyota Tundras,
with the Tundras,
you don't even have to change the oil.
Yeah,
they'll just keep running.
Yeah, they'll just keep running until they don't.
It's fine. And then you stop and you get a new one.
Yeah, you can pay $2,000 to get a new one.
Or maybe dump more oil in
at
a higher rate than it burns or flows out of it.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine.
Yeah. And so
until you're not.
Yeah. And so I really am of the opinion that there is no correcting the ship, that there is no stopping it, that this problem is going to get worse and worse and worse until there is a cataclysmic event that forces correction.
Well, because the ship has grounded itself and has to be basically rebuilt and launched again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so I think, that's why I've talked about this. I've said a million times over and over and over again that I believe we are headed towards some kind of financial crisis that's going to be really bad. That there's not going to be a World War III, but the financial crisis that we're going to experience on this planet is going to be so bad that the economic destruction to wealth and destruction to life it might as well have been a World War III. And what I think that's going to do is I think you're going to see globalism, this like global government that they've started to form, that's going to collapse. I think that there's a good chance America does not look the same way it does moving forward. Whether it stays one country, I don't know. But I mean, the federal government is going to have to be peeled off the top of the country. There's just, I don't see any way around that. There's no, and you might say, oh, well, we can get politicians in power and people in power, they're going to whatever, but we keep getting these people in power. And the best shot we have is these like Nick Fuentes populist nationalist guys. And they're so ideological that they might buy us time. They might make things better in the short term, but they're just going to implement their own regulations, their own laws. I mean, we've talked about this in this episode. They're going to just say it's illegal to bring in foreigners.
Yeah.
They're not going to
let it get fixed down below somehow.
Yeah. They're not going to abolish the Federal Reserve. They're going to just make the Federal Reserve do what they want the Federal Reserve to do.
Mm.
They'll
just use the system in a different way.
Yeah. There's no turning this thing around. And so I think that's what's going to happen is that we are going to have this collapse of authority on a large scale. And we're going to get this localism that's forced on us. Whether it's, the primary form of government in the US is going to become a state level thing or who knows what the specifics of it will look like. But I do think we're going to have the federal government peeled off the top of the US and we're going to have to rebuild it from the ground up. And the reason that's going to be corrective is because the bookshelf of regulations is just gone.
It's going to be burned.
Yeah. There's just no one to enforce it. The law just doesn't exist anymore. We're going to have to start from square one. And it's going to take another 200 years to build up this insane amount of regulatory pressure. But for the time being, in the short term, we're going to have 100 years where there isn't enough laws to hamper farmers.
Right.
And so they can farm in a way that they have to farm in order to make a good living. And that will allow them to pay people more and get American workers or whatever. That's the only thing I see happening is that we get a fever. We're forced into corrective action by some sort of cataclysm. And if that doesn't occur, like if my fear is that Trump pulls all this off, that's my fear, because that's 100 years of a slow grind of global favelas. Like you will recreate late Rome where you have people so rich and other people so poor that the rich people parade. One of the things that they do, because they have so much free time and so much money, is they parade around the city with hordes of poor people behind them that they've paid to just come behind them as a sign of their wealth. Look how many poor people I can afford to pay to, and that really happened. That was really going on. They would pay rich Romans would pay these desperately poor, starving people to just walk behind them as a sign of, look how wealthy I am. I can waste this much money on just giving these people bread so that they'll walk behind me for the day. That is what will happen if we manage to bootstrap this thing together such that it doesn't run aground. That's what I think is that there's no turning the ship away from the rocks at all, period.
Well, you've said in the past that you think there's a small chance that he'll pull off something that won't do that.
Yeah, I'm starting to revise that view because I don't know that he wants to do what has to be done. Because I think if you if you do everything you need to do to drive government debt to zero, first of all, you don't want government debt to be zero in the current system because then there's no money left in the system. there's literally no cash because all of the cash is it's denominated. A dollar is a denomination of U.S. debt. So if the U.S. pays off all of its debts, there's no dollars left to spend. So all the money will lock up. So you don't necessarily want the U.S. to pay off all of its money. But if there is a narrow path, and I just don't think he actually wants that. But the narrow path is bringing American productivity so high. Like I do think he does want to do that. We've talked about that, but bringing American productivity so high that you can pay off the government debt and then switch us on to some kind of gold standard, Bitcoin standard, whatever dollar that's a digital, like a CBDC or like a stable coin.
Okay.
And have people interact with that money and then just get rid of the Fed. I think he doesn't seem to want that. Maybe he does want, it's hard to tell. It's really, really hard to tell. Because then you get in the aspect of like the last time somebody talked about abolishing the Fed, they shot him in the head. Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
And so how much is Trump playing the game where he's trying to make things better, but also trying not to get killed?
Right. That is a big motivator, not getting killed.
Yeah. And then, there's a whole other aspect of this that we don't have time to dive into, but there's the conspiratorial aspect of like how much of this is being done intentionally to steal, how much of this is being done intentionally to drive the transhumanist agenda and reduce the global population and all that. And, you have all this other stuff that's an aspect of this entire thing. But I think for the purpose of this conversation, without diving into the conspiratorial element of it, I think it's, I think that this issue with labor is so much bigger, so much more complex, so much more difficult to even identify and articulate than people that have been having this conversation are willing to engage with. That's what I think is the major issue here.
The good news is, even though we don't know what's going to happen, Christ is coming again.
Yes.
And so, after all of this uncertainty that we've talked about today, you can be certain that Christ is Lord, the battle against death is won, and you have to fight a short battle of your life here before you are made new and go to be with your Lord. And so do not allow this uncertainty of the world, because there's always been uncertainty in the world. Don't allow that to take away your peace, to rob you of peace. Because that's not what we're trying to do here today. We are trying to talk about problems in our country and expose a little bit just how complicated it is. So don't be too black and white or too oversimplistic in your thinking when you're looking at these problems like, oh, if we would only raise the minimum wage, that would fix it.
Yeah.
Raising the minimum wage is just another regulation that the federal government's putting in place that is not actually going to fix the core problem. We're saying it's way more complicated than that.
Maybe part of the problem, yeah.
It may be.
Yeah.
But it's not going to completely solve poverty. It's ridiculous to think so. That's putting like this one regulation as an idol and saying, well, if I just got paid $15 an hour or $25 an hour or $35, then I'd be okay.
Yeah, but you're also, the problem with that is you're pricing people out. You're actually making people more poor. Less people will be hired, and the companies will find different ways to automate stuff away. You'll motivate them to get more robots. Here's what I will say to give you a little hope in a material way, because Jason is right. Christ is going to return, and you are going to die and go to glory and be with your Creator in eternal bliss, and none of this will matter to you. But to give you more hope in a material sense and an immediate sense here, because I think that is important for young men to have.
Yes.
Catastrophe, market correction, whatever. These happen like flashes of lightning, because people cannot persist in catastrophic environments. And so everyone is highly motivated to correct the problem, including those, like, people that are super rich have the most to lose. And so if the society where them having money matters way less, they're going to be super motivated to make the society, to reorganize. Having money only matters if there's organization and structure and laws and safety and whatever. That's where money really matters. So a rich person is going to be highly motivated to do whatever they have to do in order, using their agency to reestablish a society of order so that their money matters again. And on the ground level as well, you'll have all these industrious middle-class guys who need to feed their families, who will be highly incentivized to recreate a stable environment, a safe, stable environment where they can work and feed their families. So these corrections are very fast. The Weimar Germany, people talk about that all the time. That happened over like 2 or 3 months. They corrected that very quickly. And so whatever catastrophe we are staring down the barrel of will go by mad fast. Like we're talking, that's why I don't like preppers. I think that's lame. Like you see some guy.
But having some food supplies on hand, non-perishable food supplies on hand is not prepping in that sense.
No.
In the sense of
what I'm talking
making a
about
bunker.
is a guy who spent $50,000 having a bunker dug underneath his house,
right?
And has
for sustained survival of the.
Yeah, you're a hobbyist. You acknowledge what
that is.
Yeah, acknowledge what that is. You like guns. You think bunkers are cool. Just be that way. Don't pretend like you're doing it for the safety of whatever. Like
you're going to survive the apocalypse that way.
Yeah. For one that sort of paint a target on your back, you're for sure going to get killed instantly. And then people are just going to take all your stuff. But
just quietly have some freeze dried or some dry food.
Yeah. I mean, here's what we'll say. This has been my advice for 3 years since I've been doing this publicly for the year and a half that Jason and I've been working, almost 2 years. Jason and I've been working together. I've been beating this drum. You need to get yourself in a situation where you can survive. Okay. That's the point. Survival is the point. And I'll make you an example. There was a big flash crash in the crypto world recently, about a week ago, 5 days ago. And Bitcoin dropped a ton, and all these altcoins, which are just, cryptocurrencies that are not Bitcoin, they dropped even more. And all these people were using leverage. They were using debt to make these crazy bets so that they would get 9, 10x returns, whatever, 150x returns, whatever on their original money. And they lost everything. All their money is gone. And they're what people in the markets refer to as sidelined. They don't have any cash to get back in the market. So they just have to sit there now with their hands in their pockets and watch as Bitcoin skyrockets over the next 3 months. People who were not operating with leverage, people who were focused on survival and making sure that they had capital to invest when it mattered, those people are now going to be the ones that actually make gains. Now, are they going to make less gains than the people who know how to bet or whatever? In theory, yes. But in practicality, all the people who were over-leveraged, hyper-exposed, they don't have any money anymore. They're not going to make any money. All
speculative stuff.
All speculative stuff. That's why the number one rule in investing is survival. Don't let your account go to zero. That is the number one rule.
Don't give your last chip up.
Yeah, do not give your last chip up. Do not run out of cash. Do not run out of cash. That is the number one rule. We are in that kind of environment right now. Do not run out of resources, because if you survive right now, whatever is coming, we don't know necessarily what it is, but everyone knows that there's this looming catastrophe on the horizon. Everyone feels it. Everyone knows it's coming. Your focus should be on making sure that on the other end of that catastrophe, you have something, whether it be a home, some Bitcoin, some gold, guns, whatever, that you have something. Because you will then be in a position, surviving sucks. It is brutal. It is sideways. It is languishing, whatever. It's not anywhere near as bad as not surviving, but it still doesn't feel good. But what comes after is what feels amazing. That's where the big house comes in. When the economy swings back, when everything settles, when the dust settles and everything's fine, and the regulatory environment has been, and the Fed is gone, and all this stuff is gone, Trump is right. There will be another American golden age. That is coming. And I don't know if it's coming in the next 2 years, the next 18 months, the next 5 years. I don't know when it's coming. It is coming. It is coming. And if you are out of money, if you were reckless with your spending, if you were frivolous with the resources that God gave you now, and you run out of those resources during the catastrophe, then when the golden age swings back, you will be standing there with your hand out, hoping that the people who survived will be generous enough to give you a pittance so that you can get bread or whatever. If you survive, then you will be set. That is the point. Survive.
Then you'll be a manor lord.
Then you'll be a manor lord. So that's the hope that I can give you, is that gives you, and you don't, listen, I lost money. I lost money during this crash, this flash crash. I lost money. I didn't lose it all. And now I'm with about half of the money that I had before, where before the crash, all these dudes who were levered up to their eyeballs or whatever, they were going to make way more money than me. And I was foolish and listened and got greedy. I didn't listen to them, but I saw their projection returns and go, I could get a little bit of that. We're not going to get enough. And I levered up a little bit and I paid for it. Now, by the grace of God, I did not throw it all into a leveraged account and lose everything. I'm now going to make way more money than these people are ever going to make. They're going to make no money. They're going to make $0. So I'm going to make infinitely more money than they're going to make. And we're going to be fine. And so that's the hope I want to give to you guys, is that it is very easy. You just survive by, even if you survive razor thin, if you just stay in the game at all, you will be caught up in the windfall of upward mobility, and you will end up in a much better position than you are in now. And if you're young, that's going to happen before you're 30. So there is a lot of hope on the horizon in a material sense immediately. Although you do need to be looking at the promise of heaven and sanctification ultimately, I do think that is distant, and it's very hard for people to put themselves there and understand that. In a material sense, in an immediate sense, in a sense now, that is coming. That there is hope and material gain coming. You just got to focus. You got to tighten up right now. Get a second job, whatever.
In short, do not fear the fever.
Yes. Yeah. Just remember how
let the fever run its course.
Yeah.
Don't take Tylenol.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't take Tylenol. Let the fever run its course.
When you've survived the virus, you will feel 1,000% better.
Yeah. Think about how good you feel at 2 a.m. on the night fever breaks. When you wake up in a puddle of sweat, think about how amazing you feel. Mm-hmm. That feeling is coming. It is coming. So just survive.
Yeah.
And that's easy. Survival is super easy. Super easy. All right. What are we at? An hour and a half?
Yep.
All right. Sorry, guys. My bad. That is my bad. I shouldn't have brought that. Maybe we'll just cut the intro out. You got anything else?
Nope. Let's wrap it.
Guys, the future is bright. All right. The immediate future is dark, but the long term, the medium term is very bright. So guys, we love you. We are praying for you. Thank you for listening. We've got 60 subscribers today on YouTube. We've got 40 on freaking Substack.
Episode 100.
Episode 100 today.
And we have, I guess, 100. No, I think we dropped one off on Substack. Okay. We're at 99 subscribers.
Well, we got subs on Spotify,
Rumble,
and Apple Podcasts, and Rumble. Okay. So we're almost at 200 across
episode
everything.
100, baby.
Episode 100. We're growing little by little. You guys are helping us do that. We've got advocates.
We believe
on TikTok.
in the slow grind.
Yeah, we believe in plodding along. We've got people on TikTok arguing now over the episodes, which is really cool to see.
Yeah. Telling other people that they're not even listening to the video clips.
Yeah.
Which is what we've been saying.
Yeah. So it's very cool.
Thank you. 5% of TikTokers.
Yeah. Well, just thank everybody who listens. We really appreciate it. It's really awesome. And we do pray for you guys. We just prayed for you guys just now before this episode. We pray for our listeners. And so, guys, we will sign off here with our normal. If you are a young man, please find a church, find a wife, take her there. What do you do with that wife?
You should have some babies with that wife.
You should have some babies with that wife, catechize those children, raise them in the fear and admonition of the Lord, create new Christians, prepare for the future. It is bright. Guys, we love you. We will see you next week. Bye-bye. That was fast.